as all things should be. I hope they remember you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Time for the real everyday movie fan. I am Josh Williams.
And I am Ryan Murphy.
And today we are giving you our spoiler-free review of Avengers Infinity War.
And I'm wearing the right shirt for it.
I know, right? What is up with that?
This is what I had on, and then I was driving here. I was like, oh crap, yeah, whatever. No one cares, right? It's
good job on his part, right? You know.
Right? In my defense, I wore my Secret Wars shirt to the actual movie. So.
He did. You know.
Anyway,
at any rate, who's all in the movie?
First of all, this movie is directed by the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo.
All right.
I want to talk about the producer, Kevin Feige, and the writers, Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely.
They definitely
give them their credit.
Yes.
The movie stars Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Josh Brolin, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Chadwick Bosman, Tom Holland, Sebastian Stan. Who else we got? We got Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Danai Gurira, Letitia Wright, Benedict Wong, Peter Dinklage, Benicio del Toro, Gwyneth Paltrow. Am I missing anyone? Anthony Mackie.
Just a ton of people.
Don Cheadle. Yeah, and of course the voice talents of Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. And there's a couple other cast.
Yeah, there's
obviously some surprise cameos that you might not expect.
We're not going to get into that.
Stanley, obviously, Tom Hiddleston.
Yep.
Tom Holland. Did I say Tom Holland?
You did.
Okay.
I think so.
Either
way,
yeah,
huge freaking cast. There's a couple surprises that we're not going to get into. Spoiler-free territory, and it's kind of hard to talk about this movie without spoiling anything.
Idris Elba.
Yes, of course he's in it as well. But yeah, so we'll try and be as vague as we can because we don't want to give anything away. If you want to check out our spoiler-heavy review, we're gonna have one up. I think we're gonna put it up Monday. That way, it gives the whole weekend for people to watch this, so then you can join the discussion with spoiler talk. But besides that, let's start it off with you, my good sir. Score.
Well, as you know, we've been looking forward to this movie for a long time. This is like the movie. Like 2 years have led us up to this of Real Time. I'm going to probably give this movie an 8.5 out of 10.
All right.
It is what we've been expecting. You know, it is that movie. Like, you know, the reason that, first of all, let me just say, Marvel has been doing something really innovative with this movie series, with the whole MCU. It is insanely innovative, you know?
Yeah.
People always, like, for as much crap as franchises take from, like, poo-poo, like, film snobs, you know, like, oh, it's all franchises nowadays, it's all sequels and remakes and everything. But that's anybody. Everyone talks about, oh, it's all sequels and remakes, and that might be true. But this series, although made up of sequels, you know, it's a franchise. It's actually doing something innovative and new and creative with cinematic storytelling. And the way they invented the cinematic universe. Of course, other less talented people are going to try and copy that and not do it as well. But they, but they created the cinematic universe and the idea of taking 20 films. And, like, you watch this movie, and, it follows up on, you don't necessarily need to, but you should watch, you know, the Captain America trilogy and at least Thor Ragnarok and, obviously the last two Avengers and, you know, definitely Civil War. All these things that lead into it, and, like, Wakanda with Black Panther. I mean, there's all these factors in it that the story itself of the Soul Stones isn't necessary. They have dropped, you know, hints here and there, but when you watch the movie, it's all just like, whatever, this one's here, this one's there. But just those character stuff and then building these characters. People love these characters, and we love these characters, and that's why we're excited.
Yeah.
It's crossing over like 20 plus awesome characters, and people are losing their minds, and that's why. And you know me, I love character more than anything in movies. So to have 20 plus well-developed characters who are coming together. It's also a very it's not an experimental film as people know what that word means, but it's an experiment of a film. It's a film that it doesn't have a clear protagonist, really. I mean, people say Thanos, but you know, as far as the good guys, it doesn't really have a single clear protagonist. It's this massive scale thing where it's just all these people trying to combat this evil, and that's really unique in and of itself. And the way they managed to do it. And the humor, I don't even miss Joss Whedon, and that's saying so much because
he loves Joss Whedon.
I am like Joss, Joss is the person who made me love the creative arts in the first place. Literally, it's a whole story. I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was in 8th grade. My life was changed, etc. Whatever. So, but I don't even miss Joss Whedon because he could not have done a better job with the characters. When all these characters get together, they're saying to each other what they should be saying, and they're doing the Joss Whedon formula, which is using humor, natural humor in dialogue, to build character, to build relations, and make the dramatic moments all the more dramatic through humor. They're using humor appropriately. There might be a couple points where they overdo it, but it never goes into full Transformers syndrome territory where they just completely overdo the humor. The humor is used in the Joss Whedon fashion to build the character relationships up so that you feel the heavier moments all the more fully. It's terrific. That's my main positive. I have some negatives that I want to get into that's kept it from being a great film, kept it from being on par with The Dark Knight. For me, it's not that good, but all that stuff is still there. Let's hear your positives. And I know one thing I didn't say that you're definitely going to say.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Oh, man. This movie, and the fact it came on my birthday was just so much better. I saw it, we saw it on my birthday. Oh, I almost did it, guys. I almost went for it.
10 out of 10?
Almost. I'm going to fall shy. I'm going 9.8. There was only one small little thing, and I can't even get into it because it's a spoiler. So I'll tell you that negative in my spoiler review. So we'll put that on the back burner. But oh my God, this movie was epic, just on a grand scale. But what I loved about it so much is that this movie, and in my opinion, you can't really judge this movie or critique this movie on the standard formula for critiquing a film, because this is so different. Like you said, this is so different than what we've ever experienced.
Very unique film.
Very unique film, exactly. Because the main reasons are, there isn't a lot of character development there, but you don't need it to be because we've already developed these characters and brought them on screen. If you would have just had this movie alone, it'd have been okay, but you'd have had no character development whatsoever, and you'd have been like, okay, who's this person and why do I care? But because of that, because we've already grown with these characters for so many years, we care so much, but we don't need to have any character development or anything like that, or growth, to really have that reflect and have us care for what's happening to them. And the other thing I like about this movie I don't know if I've ever even heard of a movie that has done this, where the antagonist is actually the main character. And I love that. I mean, if you know any personally that have done that, because I can't think of any. Fargo? Okay.
But whatever, how you define main character, he's not the protagonist. So.
No, but like I said, but that's
an argument, narrative theory, whatever you want to make.
Yeah, but I kind of like it because he is the bad guy, but he's the main person that is telling. That's part of the story, and I like that a lot because it's different. And I love the fact that they took that idea, because everyone always knows that the MCU villains aren't the best. They swung that pendulum the whole other way, and they give him so much depth. Kudos to Josh Brolin for playing Thanos. Oh my God, was he so good in this movie? So many layers to him. So much just depth, and he has this conviction about what he's trying to do. He thinks he's in the right, but he's it's based on perspective, because there could be argument to be about what he's trying to do. While it's wrong, some people may feel that way. What he's all about. And I loved that. That creates an amazing villain that actually gravitates you to want to watch, because you want to know how he's going to go against our characters that we've grown up and loved so much. And just all around, that's one of my biggest positives. And the other one too, for me, and I'll swing back over to you if you have any more positives after this. Anthony and Joe Russo. I mean, for what they did with Civil War was amazing. But to have them get all these characters together and make it feel organic and not feel like that, one person's getting their due or this person's getting their due, was fantastic. And for the ability to get them, let each person shine without making it seem like they're pushing them to make them shine.
I think you got to be talking about Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely, then the writers.
That too. But yeah, the writers too. All four of them, I'll give it to them. Yeah, just to be able to do that and make it feel organic and make it feel natural was amazing. Yeah. I commend them. I mean, I want to stand up and clap, but I might, hit my head or something. Who knows? But that's one of my other biggest positives. What I liked about it too is I remember watching an interview with them, and how they worded it was, because an interviewer asked them how they were able to do this, and they said they didn't. story wasn't there to service the characters. The characters were there to service the story. So they actually focused more on the story than the actual characters, so that they actually helped improve the story. And I love that. What about you? Do you have any more things that you really liked about it?
I really, I've noticed that actually when you split it up, the Avengers actually have 3 stories, but there's 3 distinct things going on, and they're kind of split up between the 3 main Avengers. There's one that's led by Iron Man. There's another that's Thor's story, and there's another one that's all the other Avengers essentially led by Captain America. So those are the 3 main Avengers, and that's the 3 blocks of the story is separated into, and all the other characters sort of are around them.
Yeah, and that's not sorry, I didn't want to. That's not a spoiler, guys. That's in the trailers. You actually can see that they're all split apart. But sorry, continue.
But also that kind of leads into a negative, which was I didn't think Captain America's story. I wanted to see more on him, and I understand we have this massive cast and everything, so it seems almost silly to talk about. Well, there should have been more on this guy, but I felt like it's ironic because this was written by the writers of the Captain America trilogy, and he's the character I just sort of felt. It was towards the end when I realized. Yeah, he's just kind of been there, hasn't he? He hasn't really had much oomph to him. Like Iron Man in his story, he's the leader of that story. Thor, obviously, it's mainly him and like 1 or 2 other people, and he's obviously has, you could cut up those and they'd be the centerpieces of those stories. When it came to the other characters, I feel like Captain America is the de facto leader, so it should be his story. It's from the writers of the Captain America trilogy, but I just didn't feel much weight on him or Black Widow, who is kind of his right-hand woman. I felt like they could have maybe put some more in there. Hey, if you add 10 minutes of screen time to this, we're not going to care.
No
it's
one's
already
gonna
2
care.
hours and 36 minutes, and we're all pouring our money to see it.
Right?
Like, I don't know. I wish there would have been something there. So, but that's like my first negative I wanted to mention is that I kind of felt the need. That made me feel the need for a protagonist. I kind of felt like there's a famous review by Red Letter Media, a very famous review of Star Wars Episode 1, where the first thing he talks about is this movie does not have a protagonist.
Protagonist.
A protagonist. It's a joke in the video, but go watch it. It's epic and everyone loves it. But yeah, that's kind of, I thought like Red Letter Media should watch this and talk about it because yeah. But yeah, did you have any negatives now that you wanted to get into?
I have the one, but it's a spoiler and I can't get into it. It's something very small.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I can respect that. Because you kind of wanted a main protagonist to kind of go something up against him.
At least in that third of the story, I felt like Captain America there should have been more focus on him.
That's fair. And for me, I didn't. For me, I kind of was okay with the fact there wasn't like a main protagonist because for me they were all the protagonists. They were all, and the reason for that is that they're all kind of working together in a weird way to help stop him. So again, since we've all grown and love these characters, and we understand their leaderships and we understand their motives and everything, we didn't need to really have one particular one over the other. There was kind of this all ensemble going after this one huge titan, and that's what made it okay for me. And what I love too is, sorry to say that I don't have the one negative, so check my spoiler for that one negative. This movie was 2.5 hours long, but it didn't even feel like it. This movie is so engaging that you just keep watching, and it felt organic. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I've seen some reviewers who think it's just too much going on, that they don't like it. I was on the opposite end. To me, it felt seamless. It felt natural. You were able to follow along just fine through all the threading of the story, and it worked out perfect in the end. And my God, the ending is just insane.
What I need to say before we go though is the main negative for me is there are so many contrivances and kind of hokiness to this movie. I feel like characters are allowed to live when they wouldn't be. There are characters who, and there's really, to get to the point where they get in the ending, there's stuff that happens and characters who make decisions that are just very questionable. Just like, why they would never make that decision. And
I'll argue that in the spoilers.
Yeah, but there's one scene, there's one thing right near the end, very near the end, that involves Doctor Strange that to me, I was like, that almost makes me want to just give this whole movie a negative review. That's so ludicrously stupid. And there's just a lot of stuff. Several stuff like that. And to me, that's me watching the movie was what dragged it down from something that could have been like a 10 out of 10. Great movie. It's a very unique movie. We talk about how innovative, unique it is for cinema and all that. That dragged it down quite a bit. There's one, we also talked about there's one aspect to the story in Thanos' quest, and we'll talk about this in our spoiler review, that's very contrived. I feel like it's happening to make the plot move forward. We're like, why is that? Hold up. Here's a question. Who made that way? Why is that way? It feels like you're just doing that to get to a point to get a scene you want to write. So there's stuff like that really dragged the film down for me, but you can't deny what this film is. Everything he said, I knew you were going to talk about the villain. That's what I was talking about, and I left that to you because I knew you wanted to talk about that, and I was going on about everything else. So I think we covered all the stops.
We highly recommend this. I mean, I'm gonna put a highly recommend right here. Go check this out. See it 2 or 3 more times. This movie is worth your money and more so. I think we could both agree upon that. I'm probably gonna see it. God, I don't know how many freaking times. A ton. I'm probably gonna drag him to see it again.
Yeah.
But yes, go check it out. It is worth your money. This movie is action packed. Some of the action scene is amazing. Last thing, real quick, the visuals. Holy shit! Like there's moments in Thanos where you seriously can't tell if it's a practical effect, practical effects, or like a what am I trying to say?
There's some moments where the bad guys,
puppetry,
his henchmen look really fake, but I feel like we ran completely out of money because Thanos every time he's on screen and the sun's hitting his face is just real.
It's just insane. Yeah. It's so real. Like there's moments I couldn't tell if it was puppetry or CG, and that's amazing. So yes, check this movie out. You will not be disappointed. Your brains will be left on the floor in the movie theater. All right, folks, that'll do it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry, this is a longer review than we normally have, but we wanted to talk about this as best we could. What did you think of Avengers Infinity War? If you have seen it, leave your comments in the section below. Give your positives and negatives, and please keep it spoiler-free. Save your spoiler talk for the spoiler review. We don't want to ruin any of this for the fans. I really like it when you can just keep those things to yourself and let the fans or let other viewers experience it for themselves. Don't spoil anything, please. And also, if you give your score out of 10 as well. Also, if you like what you watched, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you can receive more of our various content in the future. Also, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Stardust. The links are in the description below. And that's all we have for you today. I'm Josh Williams.
And I'm Ryan Murphy.
And thank you for keeping it real.
With ReelTime.